talking about in the actual, like... Look, man.
All right. Tell me what you
No,
what's your memory?
okay.
Which
No.
one? What are you doing?
But my thing is dumb. Is because if you want to adhere to like the rules of time, you can't do something that didn't actually happen to you. Like
So something happened to you
that
you think was you from the future. Okay.
Exactly. So this is if time travel, and me and my dad have talked about this at length, that if time travel ever became a possibility, we would have evidence of it today, which is why we don't think that time travel will ever be a thing.
Yeah.
Because we don't have evidence of it today.
No, we'd have evidence of it by now.
Yeah. But my thing is, so it's the dumbest story, and I just want to say it. When I was in like kindergarten, I used to bring my lunch to school with me all the time, and I'd have a thermos, and my mom would put milk in it because I loved milk. That was back when I wasn't lactose intolerant.
Oh, you did that? Do you like grow up and like you're like lactose intolerant? That's what I
That
wanna
is
be.
literally what happens. There is science behind it. You know, as children, because we drink like breast milk, and we're supposed to drink the milk for nutrients and to like grow big and strong. Once you hit, I think it's puberty. I think once you hit like 12 or 13, your body literally stops producing lactase. I think is the protein that we use to break down lactose, something like that. We stop like producing as much of it because we don't need to continue like growing and drinking milk.
Yeah.
That's literally, but we as a species, because milk and like the dairy corporations have like made it into our mind that we need dairy throughout our entire lives. We have like started breeding out that gene. So like people like we now have people who can handle lactose like later in life. Back when we first started, like as cavemen, you didn't get past 12 years old and still be able to drink milk. But now you can because we've kind of bred that gene out of us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. That reminds me of like, I'll get you back to your thing in a second.
I know. Go ahead.
I am a carrier for like a genetic disorder that you can't produce whatever it is that breaks down milk at all, even as a baby.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's lactase. I think that's what it's called because lactase is like the protein of the lactose something.
But I know that I'm a carrier of that genetic disorder, and because my mom always says that when I was born, they were terrified that I was gonna die because you can't, like, what do you give a baby, like,
if you can't digest,
you can't digest. I mean, obviously formula, right? Like that was the workaround.
Yeah.
But my mom tells this story of like she was feeding me milk, like they'd given her milk or she was breastfeeding or something like that. The nurse busts in and is like, "You need to stop feeding him right now," and like takes him away.
Oh my Lord.
Because they thought that I wouldn't be able to digest it, but then
Yeah.
they did further testing, and so I'm just a carrier. So now there's like
Your kids could.
my kids have a 1 in 4 chance of having that or carrying that, and if I have kids with someone that also is a carrier, we have a 1.5 chance of our child not being able to digest.
1.5 chance.
One half chance.
1 in 50% chance.
50% chance of that. That is what I meant to say.
Anyways, my story. So I'd carry milk with me in a thermos, and I swear there was this one day I'd eaten my peanut butter and jelly sandwich or whatever, and I had finished all the milk in the container, and I was playing around. I was playing with my friends and goofing around and like throwing shit, because you know when you're a kid you just throw shit around.
You just throw shit around. You just throw shit. So I picked up my thermos and I was like gonna throw it, and then like a whole bunch of milk spilled out everywhere. And I remember being in kindergarten and thinking, that's not possible. I finished all of that. I drank, that was empty. Literally like 10 seconds ago, that was empty. And I couldn't wrap my head around how milk had found its way back into the thermos. So if time travel is ever possible, that's the first thing I'm going to do, is I'm going back in time to refill the thermos. This is Media for the Intellectually Impoverished. I'm Taylor.
I'm Randi.
And this is the podcast that
enriches your mediocre lives.
That's such a dumb story.
That is a dumb story, but I'm 100% going to do it.
You have this personal vendetta against yourself because you're like, I have to experience this in every timeline.
No, 100% I do. Like, because you can't, I swear to you, it was empty. But how? My only explanation is time travel.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I really thought, and I remember sitting there with my friends and being like, you refilled it. How did you, who did it? Who put the milk? So now it was me. That's the answer to that problem. It was
working
me.
Theory.
Mm-hmm. And I've had that theory for 16 years? What are we talking about today, Taylor?
Well, sometimes you make something and you're like, it's gonna be
the biggest banger of them all. And it's going to rock and everyone's going to love it. And then you put it out there and someone misinformed you on how good this is going to be. We are talking about bad media and what we would do to make it better.
Okay. That was good. That's a good intro.
Thank you. I was practicing it on the way over here.
Good job. You didn't take 20 minutes to explain the topic.
I always do that. And I'm like, today I'm not. And then I did that.
And then you didn't. So do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I want to fix my chair.
First, get comfortable. Wasting the battery.
I'm sorry.
I could have gone pee.
I'm sorry. Our camera battery's been dying. We were charging it for like, what, 30 minutes now?
For longer than that. It's probably been like 45.
And it's still barely charged and we're racing against the clock. Yeah, I'll go first. So I'll be talking about the game Devil May Cry 2, which came out in a year, some point.
Not prepared.
2003. Devil May Cry 2 came out in 2003. It's released by Capcom. It was a sequel to, obviously, Devil May Cry 1, released in 2001 by Capcom as well. It was directed by Hideaki Itsuno.
I heard controversy about who directed it.
Yeah?
Yeah, in the videos that I was watching beforehand. They got halfway through the project and like they were like, this is a bad game. They're not doing the good things for the game. So they had to switch directors and nobody knows who the first director was. Like he has not come out at all.
And that's fair because this game is terrible.
It's so interesting.
So so you understand why Devil May Cry 2 is bad, I'm gonna have to give you some preface on what Devil May Cry 1 did well. Devil May Cry 1 was released in 2001 for the PS1. It wasn't like a launch title, but it was one of the launch titles. So Resident Evil was being developed, and the people that were developing the next Resident Evil game in Capcom were building this world. They started with the world and the setting, and they realized it was way more gothic, way more like Germanic gothic style, kind of dark, gritty than what Resident Evil was. And they were like, we don't think this fits the world. So they took it and they turned it into Devil May Cry. They gave it like a witty, over-the-top protagonist who's got 2 handguns and a giant sword. And you go through this castle and you fight demons and baddies and stuff. And it's super over-the-top. It's super all about like stringing combos together and shooting your enemies and like being stylish and super cool. And it's extremely fun. And Devil May Cry 2 is not.
No.
The main problem that I have with it is that it takes a lot of like the love and the style and what made Devil May Cry 1 so great. And it was like, you know what? We hate all of that. Let's make it our thing. So what they wanted to do, and the one thing they kind of, I have to give credit where credit is due. I can't just shit on something to shit on it. You have to recognize that there are things that they set out to do, that they accomplished, but because they set out to do those things and did not focus on the others, that's why it fell flat. So story, ass. There's like no story. The story isn't even a sequel to Devil May Cry 4. It's set...
Devil May Cry 4?
Sorry, it's Devil May Cry 1. It's set after Devil May Cry 4, right? But Devil May Cry 4 wasn't even like in talks at that time. So people that were picking up Devil May Cry 2 expecting a sequel, seeing the characters that we saw in Devil May Cry 1 return and do that. Nope. You just got Dante, the main character, and some new character that you had no connection to. And it was just completely unrelated. It doesn't even mention the events of Devil May Cry 1, and it feels completely detached from the story of Devil May Cry 1, which is a huge turnoff for someone that is coming in loving the first game and wanting to see where those characters develop. Like, as far as I know, you don't get to see the main character from Devil May Cry 1, or not the main character, like the secondary character, like the female protagonist, until like Devil May Cry 4 or 5. So it's like you don't get to see them again for a really long time. And granted, they took this and they started to jump around time anyway with the next couple of games, where Devil May Cry 3 is a prequel to Devil May Cry 1. Devil May Cry 4 is a sequel to Devil May Cry 2. No, Devil May Cry 1.
They had 1 and then they made 2, but 2 comes after 4. And so the actual is 3, 1, 4, 2.
So I talked about how like it was all about comboing and being stylish. The one thing that they did well was they made it feel more stylish. So now you can like run across walls. You can do like crazy backflips off of walls. really fun stuff like that. But they removed. They focused on being able to juggle and giving you these cool abilities to juggle, but they're not implemented well. So like the animations are super stylish and they look really cool when you just sort of do them. But when you actually get into combat, the hitboxes don't line up with the hurt boxes. Do you want me to explain that?
Sure.
Hitboxes are the invisible spots, the invisible boxes around your weapons or the things that you're shooting or whatever that actually will trigger damage. And a hurt box is where the hurt e-boxes are on you, where if you get hit in a hurt box, you take damage.
Okay.
So when a hitbox and a hurt box collide, you get damage.
Hitbox and hurt box.
I don't know if everyone calls them hurt boxes. I know they're called hit boxes, but people don't really say hurt boxes. I just think it's funny to say hurt boxes. Anyways, they don't line up. And so where Devil May Cry 1 was all about the juggling, it wasn't great in Devil May Cry 1, but it was good. It was good enough for a PS1 game. And it was stylish and new. And Devil May Cry 2, you can't really juggle that well. Like the moves don't always connect when they're supposed to. And the main thing is like sort of being able to knock people up into the air and then juggle them while they're in the air with combo attacks. But the combo attacks don't land because the floatiness of like you're super floaty and then the enemy characters are not as floaty. And so if you don't catch them on the upswing when you're jumping up, then you don't hit them and then they just fall to the ground and you lose your combo. And the whole game is based around being stylish, landing these combos, making them last, shooting 2 people at the same time, attacking a bunch of enemies and making it look super cool. And it's just not executed well enough. It's not executed well at all. And it takes away from what the story, like even like a shitty game with great gameplay can still be a good game, but a shitty game with like bad gameplay with no good story,
it's just a bad game.
It's just a bad game all around.
But I heard when it comes to the gameplay that you could just like spam the guns, and that was so it took away, not took away, but it there wasn't where you could build like combos, and that whole like system didn't even work that well.
Yeah. So in Devil May Cry 1, you're supposed to mix shooting people with using your swords or your other weapons. In Devil May Cry 2, or in Devil May Cry 1, when you press the square button, it shoots once. And then you press it a shit ton of times, and if you pressed it quick, you could, as fast as you could press, you could shoot. And it was super fun, because in Devil May Cry 1, you can just like super fast hit the button and do like 30 shots. But in Devil May Cry 2, they removed the necessity of like pressing the button a bunch. You just hold it, and then he auto shoots.
Oh, okay.
And so the worst boss...
That's no fun.
No fun.
Yeah.
The worst boss in the game, and I think it's pretty well known. I didn't finish it. I played half of the game. It's only like a 6-hour game, but I made it to chapter 9 out of 18, and nothing happened, and I was bored. So I was like,
Randy
I'm skipping
shaking
it.
her head. How dare you?
You try and play this game.
I don't want to.
But you get to like chapter 3, and there's a boss called the Infected Helicopter. By the way, we don't know why there's a helicopter. It's like infected with the virus, but like it's like a demon virus that turns vehicles into demons.
So, but okay, what's the end goal? Like, so even in the first one, you said that you're just like shooting demons.
You own a business. Dante owns a business called Devil May Cry. And you get hired by this girl named Trish to go and defeat a demon that's trying to open the underworld. Go to this castle where he's at, and you kill his cronies, and then you kill him, and then you save and close the underworld gate. And Devil May Cry 2, there's no Devil May Cry. You just sort of show up at this place because of a reason, and then you meet a girl there who flips a coin, and then you follow her somewhere.
Okay.
And then you meet an old lady, and the old lady's like, the guy that owns that corporation is actually a demon. And then you're like, good enough for me. And you sort of like waltz there, and then when you get there, he's like, I'm a demon. And you're like, haha, bang, bang, bang. And he's
Gotcha.
like, fuck you. And then he leaves. Super, like, the plot is nearly non-existent.
Yeah, no.
The only plot that I got was in the first, like, 10 to 15 minutes. And then after that, it was just like, you're going. Go.
The first
go
2
away.
to 10, the first 10 to 15 minutes. So wouldn't it be like the first 30 minutes if you said 2 of them?
Listen,
it was. I meant to say the first 15.
I meant to say the first 10 minutes, but my brain was like, "You mean 2, right?" And I was like, "No."
So really the first 10 to 15 minutes.
10 to 15 minutes. And then I was saying the boss, the infected helicopter is just a helicopter that flies around you in a circle.
Is it an actual helicopter?
Yeah, it's an infected helicopter.
Okay,
so
but does it have like the big like spinning thing on the top?
And it shoots rockets at you, and all you do is stand there and hold the square button for like 5 minutes.
That sounds fun. That sounds like a game I could play.
Yeah.
You were not happy.
No, it's because it removes everything that made the bosses in Devil May Cry 1 fun.
But it's easier than non-people who can't play video games can play.
But that's easy does not equate better.
No, I know.
Right? Like, or good. Like, because Devil May Cry 1 is difficult, but it's got, like, once you understand how the mechanics work, once you understand what you're supposed to do, it's easier, but it's rewarding in its understanding. In Devil May Cry 2, it's just sitting there and holding a button and watching a bar go down. And that's not fun. The next boss that I faced that was a big, stupid butt face was
said the word.
I said the word. Was this giant, like, minotaur goat dude that just got stuck in a 30-second animation loop while I stood behind him and shot him with a gun for another 2 minutes.
Nice.
No. But what made the bosses in Devil May Cry 1 so fun, so unique, was that they all sort of had a personality. So, like, there's this giant lava spider that shoots fireballs at you that you have to fight, and it can block. Like, it can block bullets, it can block attacks while it runs towards you, and you have to hit it only in the head. And then there's a giant griffin that flies around the stage and shoots fireballs at you. And then if you shoot it enough, you can knock it down to the ground and make it like you could be able to be hit, and then you can go and hit it. And then there's another knight that's basically just you, but like a knight version. And then you have to fight him, or at least comboing you around like crazy, like you've been doing to all the other enemies. And then there's this giant blob. It's like a puzzle boss where you have to like keep these dials on the wall completely filled and wait till he attacks, and then you have to attack these orbs that he juts out of him while he's attacking you. And it's very specific, it's very stylized. Every boss has a different feel and a different play style, and it works really well and it makes you feel like a badass when you finally beat the boss. But Devil May Cry 2 doesn't have any of that. It doesn't have personalized bosses. In Devil May Cry 1, the bosses talk to you. The bosses all have personalities. In Devil May Cry 2, they're just like, I'm here, bang, I'm dead. And then that's it. Granted, the reason that you see a lot of the bosses repeat in Devil May Cry 1 was so they could save on space, so they didn't take up as much space on the disc. You could reuse the assets. They reused the bosses a bunch, but it doesn't diminish from the game as a whole, as each time you see the bosses in a different arena and has a different fighting strategy. All of that to say, Devil May Cry 2 kind of sucks ass.
Kind of.
You can skip it, as far as I know. It took away a lot of what made Devil May Cry 1 so fun. Like, what was so intriguing about Devil May Cry 1 was the gothic aspect, was the over-the-top character that has depth, that has a story, and his relationship with the characters around him. Like, because some of them, like, I don't really care about spoiling things, but spoilers if you do care. And Devil May Cry 1, the one of the bosses that you're fighting constantly is actually your twin brother.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I just said that.
I know.
And so like the fights have meaning, they have depth, and you find out that the lady that you've been with this whole time that's been helping you fight these demons is actually a demon the whole time too. But then you find out that she's a copy of your mother that was created.
There you go. I was like, she's the mom. Okay.
Yeah, she was a copy of the mother created by the guy, the big bad in the game, who actually created your mom in the first place. So he created the mom for the father of Dante, Sparta, who's this big demon king, and then he created another one to entice Dante to come and fight him so he could kill the son of Sparta. But there's depth, there's emotion, there's story. It's dark, it's gritty, it's gothic, but it's over the top and it's fun in like a funny way. It's at one.
It's at one.
It's at one.
It's at one.
It's terrifying.
That's not great.
But yeah, that's. And Devil May Cry 2 took all of those things and it was like, we don't want those things. We just want to look cool and sell. And then it kind of did that, but it took away a lot of of what made it good and what made it interesting. And it just sort of shoves out this generic action beat 'em up kind of game that has no depth, that has no story, that is utterly forgettable in the grand scheme of the series.
So I heard that they brought in a whole new team for the second game, and they got rid of everybody from the first game, the directors, and those who worked on this second game. Their prior experience was with arcade games, so just like the 2D like fighting, like it's super easy, like quick 30-minute game, and so that might be a problem when you want to make a longer game.
Mm-hmm. Especially because of the style of the game. It is similar in style, and I can see why they might have dropped those people, because at Capcom, they were initially working on Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible those people, it's very possible they got fired for company reasons. It's also possible that they were just moved to the Resident Evil project instead,
Maybe.
and they brought in a new team to work on Devil May Cry 2.
Maybe.
Yeah, the gaming industry is volatile, it's quick, and it's a rapidly advancing industry, especially back in the PS1 era. When 3D graphics were involved and you were creating games for the first time that people could truly be putting themselves inside of. But yeah, and then that's obviously going to take away from the, like, if you remove the team that created the game and the director steps down, that's going to tank your game no matter what you are. Like, that tanks any kind of piece of media, right? If you remove the people that were passionate about making the project.
Because nobody has like an interest in that game anymore. Now it's just, you've been hired to make this game, and if you don't have any interest, you don't know what the first one's about, you're just going to make a game.
To its credit, Devil May Cry 3 is probably, it's regarded as one of the best in the series because of its reintroduction of a lot of what made Devil May Cry 1 so fun, the dark gothic stuff, the ability to combo, and it added in what Devil May Cry wanted to add, which was the stylization, the ability to rapidly switch between like weapons and items and like shoot people and you know, combo enemies and make yourself feel cool. And I've been playing through that, and it's extremely fun and extremely rewarding, and much better than Devil May Cry 2. So that is my piece.
That is your piece? How would you make it better?
How would I make it better? Fucking have some passion.
Right? Fucking just care about the project.
It's very, very obvious that they did not understand the characters. They did not understand what made them important. I would, if you're coming into a game and you don't know what like is expected of the audience, fucking maybe play the game.
I think that would have helped a lot.
I would definitely have included more of a story. Even though the story we have is kind of shitty and dumb, like just having it there more prevalent in the foreground instead of just, you're here, you're there, shoot them. Because none of the bosses made sense. None of the like encounters made any sense. There was no setup. There was just go and do this thing. So I would include more of a story during the game rather than just at the beginning of it and then probably at the end of it, which I didn't get to. Fix your bosses. Like, you've given us these tools to work with, these abilities to combo, these crazy over-the-top ways to run around buildings and stuff. A lot of the boss fights were not inside closed spaces. We're not able to utilize the tools that we've been given. So if you're giving your players tools to do these crazy over-the-top maneuvers, let them use that in the boss fights, or even center a boss fight around that, and that'll aid in the making the boss fight fun, because you're learning the things, then you're using the things. You give them a new tool, you let them try it out, then they use it in the next boss fight. That's general game design. That's how you make things interesting. That's how you keep adding new elements and making it fun and feel rewarding. And those are the two big things I think I would do. But yeah, have some fucking passion.
Care about your damn
care
projects.
About the project. Hire people that care about projects.
There you go. That'd be a good one.
Cool. I think we should
change batteries.
Okay. So let's stop the recording and then change batteries.
Okay, it's my turn to talk.
It is your turn to talk.
And I'm sad because you didn't watch the movie.
I tried.
I know you did, but it would have been so much better if you watched it, because then it's easier to explain, because then you have seen it, and then, yeah, that's how things work. Okay, but I watched the movie. I watched Morbius, which I didn't, going into it, I knew that it was going to be a bad movie. Everybody had told me that it was going to be a bad movie, except my roommate, who said she's heard other people say it was a great movie, which was lies. Absolute lies. And then she asked me when I got back if it was good, and I was like, no, it's not great. I went and saw it with my brother. So I had never heard of Morbius before. I mean, I'd seen the trailers for it. I didn't know what I was walking into. It's vampires.
Yeah, it's like Marvel's version of Dracula, even though Dracula exists in Marvel anyways.
Doesn't make any sense.
No sense.
But the main guy, like Dr. Morbius, I think is his name. I watched it a long time ago, but he has like a blood disorder. He's had it since childhood, and so like as he grows up, he's super smart and he tries to figure out a cure for it. In the process, he develops artificial blood, which helps a whole bunch of other people, but like didn't fix his thing. So he cures himself, but like turns himself into a vampire, and now to live or to not fully let the vampire, at least in the movie, I don't know based on the comics, I didn't do any other research, but in order for him to like stay sane, he now has to consume blood. And for a while, he's able to live off of the artificial blood, but then that doesn't work. Or it's running out, but he refuses to have red blood, which is what he calls it because the artificial blood is blue.
Mm-hmm.
And like if he has that, then he'll like completely go over the edge.
Yeah.
Something like that. But then his friend becomes the main antagonist. And it's so here's the thing. I get the story, and it's an interesting story, but there was no character development. There was no chemistry between any of the characters. There was no setup for what was going to happen. We saw maybe one scene at the beginning, maybe like an 8-minute scene about them. Oh, they both have this disorder. Oh, how sad.
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately the smart one, Morbius, leaves and like is going to go to this really smart person's school, and like he's gonna do all these great things and leaves his friend behind. And then how are they like still like they've met and they've been friends for maybe a week, or at least what it seems like in the movie has been a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then he leaves, and then how are they still friends in like adulthood when you've met for like 1 week as a child?
Who knows, man?
But see, there was no that relationship wasn't well established.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the friend turned evil, like I felt like I should have been hurt. I felt like I felt something and been like, no, that was your best friend. How could you do that? It was like, okay, kind of expected that.
Cool, Matt Smith is a vampire now.
Oh my God, Matt Smith.
Mm-hmm.
But there was none of that. And then I guess I'll spoil it. It doesn't matter. I don't want you to go see it. You can see it if you want, but it's not a great movie. The dad figure, or like the doctor who took care of both of them as children, like he ends up dying. I felt no sadness for him. No, not like that. It wasn't well established.
Mm-hmm.
There was no. It sucks because this movie is in association with Marvel. It's like the first thing that you see when you watch the movie. It says in association with Marvel, but it was a really short movie. I think it was only like an hour and a half or an hour and 40 minutes. And for what they were trying to do, they definitely didn't have the time. So it was very much beat. Like here, this. We got to get to where we're going to meet with Marvel. Like we have to give you all of this exposition real quickly so that we can then be in the Marvel universe. Yeah,
and the problem is that Sony now has the rights to Spider-Man again. They gave Disney the rights for like 4 Spider-Man standalone movies. But
there's only been 3.
Maybe it was 3
or
4 movies with Spider-Man in it, if you count Civil War.
Okay.
So something like that.
And yeah, okay.
They only had the rights for a couple of movies, and they now own the rights again, and so Spider-Man can't appear in anything that Sony isn't like putting the stamp of approval on. And so they're trying to revamp their own Spider-Man stuff. And so in doing that, they did the Venom, which was great. Venom
was good. I heard it was bad.
I mean, critics said it was bad, but fans said it was really good. And to be fair, it's not like I don't think it should win any Oscars or anything, but it's definitely a fun movie and a fun performance from Tom Hardy. And then Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, is okay. It's a little not as good as
sequels aren't ever really that good.
Yeah. But it has my favorite Marvel villain, so I thought maybe it'd be better, but it just wasn't. I think it was too much like, we gotta be funny because now we're funny. And it didn't focus enough on the dark aspects. But yeah, so they're trying to create this Sony-verse now and use all of their stuff. But then at the same time, they've got all the stuff that was made by, that did really well, that was made by Marvel itself. And they're like, we need to tap into that because that's where the gold is. So grab the gold and then just like smash it to bits and shove it.
And it's not... No, it didn't. And then at the end, they took the one, I don't even know the name. It was such a side character, such a low status person from the first, not low status, but somebody that I can't even remember the name of from the Spider-Man universe and then brought it into that was like the end scene was he got shoved into this universe and I don't even know who that is.
Michael Keaton.
Something I don't know.
Right? It was
he's the villain in the first one.
Yeah, he's the Vulture.
The Vulture. I don't even remember the first Spider-Man movie, but to be honest, I don't really like it. I mean, it's the first one to establish a new Peter Parker, I get it, but compared to all of the other ones that we've now seen, it definitely takes a backseat.
Yeah, it's whatever. Just the first one.
But so there's in Morbius, so they're rushing through everything, and then they added a love interest that didn't need to be there because the female nurse or the doctor that he works with, who's been helping him along the way find this cure, is suddenly like you think they're like it came out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere. Like I can't. You need to see it, and it comes. He's turned into this vampire. He's like wounded her to the point like she's in a coma for a while, and then she wakes up. And then suddenly he like kisses her, and then it's like, oh, we're together now. And then his best friend is like mad at him because like he wanted to be with the girl.
He was in love with her.
But no, and he like makes fun of Morbius for like, oh, you like her, don't you? And he's like, no, I don't. So
you like her, don't you? No,
like,
I don't. Let's go drink blood.
Yeah, let's go drink blood. And why can't like. I don't like it either. I don't like that all of our movies now have to live up to this like really high standard of action packed and it needs to be like a 3-hour film to give us any sort of like character development or just to be good anymore or to meet like the Marvel standard. I get that like probably because they're Sony, because of the budget, because of whatever, it had to be a shorter movie, and because of that and to try and keep up with Marvel, they had to try and pack everything in. But they could have done it so much better. You could have cut out so much. Like, let's focus on the friendship, completely take out the love interest, because that had, like, nothing to do with it. I get why, because at the end, she, like, comes back as a vampire, and it's the first instance of, like, oh, so he can turn other people into vampires. But did we really need that?
No.
I mean, you could have done that in the second movie, or you could have, like, you didn't need it. I would have much rather focused on the friendship and then see that like rise and me love these characters and want them to be best friends forever and root for them, and then have that shattered and me feel that pain, feel that crumble. And the same thing with like the father figure, see like actually tear up and cry that he's like no longer there. They're just such side, like it doesn't, they're like side characters, but they're the main characters. But it just I don't
I get it, what you're saying, like. So they try to do too much, is what you're saying.
They try to do too much, but also, it's not even that, because I feel like they could have just written it better. Like, I feel like they could have...
Just write better.
No, I mean, yeah, but I think there would have been other ways. There could have been other ways of shooting that you could have done with visual storytelling, with cinematography, that could have gotten all of the same points across in the same amount of time. I think there had to have been, we could have spent a lot more time on the fact that like they were friends as kids. I would have loved to see maybe, no, not half, but at least like a good third of the movie of them as kids and what that was like, and their kind of rise into, also the best friend is like rich for some reason, and it's never explained why he's rich. Is Morbius like paying, because he's a big famous doctor, is he paying for like his penthouse and like helping? That's never explained. That he has like an entourage and he's this big hotshot. And how did you don't have answers. I'm looking for you for answers. You don't have
no answers.
But they could have done more. They could have set that up. I would have liked to see like the 1/3 of the movie be about their like childhood and that kind of develop into them being.
Cards full.
Really?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Can't all be bangers, man. Not
I
even,
know they can't.
Not even our episodes can
not
all be
even,
bangers.
But we're talking about bad media. We should do better. We can't do bad to our own bad media.
I feel like that's a funny bit.
I don't think it is. I think that's really sad. Okay, I guess you talked way more than me, and it's not fair, but it's okay. Could have done more. Cut the love interest out. We don't need it. I get why it's there. We didn't need it. I would have liked to focus more on the best friends. The other thing, CGI. Man, wasn't there.
Wasn't
there. Real bad.
Yeah.
Real bad.
I heard that the editing for like the fight scenes was not super followable.
Nope. Couldn't know. And that whole, it's just, I mean, and it sucks because if we didn't have Marvel to compare it to, it probably would have been an okay movie.
Yeah.
But because Marvel is such like the looming figure, such the standard that we have to live up to now, that it just didn't. The CGI, it wasn't there, and it's the fight scenes, and it all looked so fake and so just not. The choreography wasn't great, and it was confusing. Yeah,
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing that we talked about a long time ago. We kind of bring up every once in a while, like once something does something a certain way, it sets the bar, and the bar is now here, and everyone has to meet that bar or no longer be considered good.
Yeah.
And so Marvel has set the bar for superhero movies, and specifically, like, it is a Marvel-based piece too.
See, and that's why, like, Marvel should have had more. I guess not because it's Sony, but like Marvel should have helped them out. And then
that was all their decision, though. They didn't want the help.
I know.
So they gave him Spider-Man. They let him do their thing, and then they were like, "No, we want to do it. We want to do it because we want to take everything that you've done and we want to use it for our own revenue." And every time they try to do that, it just sucks.
Yeah. And then the acting. I heard that Jared Leto he method acted for this again, and was doing crazy shit behind the scenes. Again, who keeps letting this man act?
Who keeps giving this man roles? Like,
why?
No.
I mean, look, and here's the thing, and I was talking to my brother about this. His acting in the film isn't bad. It's not. It's good. It's pretty good. It's decent and then also like Matt Smith is a great actor.
He's an amazing actor.
But it's so interesting to see the two of them side by side, and you're like they're on the same level. They're pretty much. I mean, they're the two main characters, and you get this. And besides not having chemistry with anybody else on screen, but they were both able to get there. And it just when you look at how they got there, the fact that Jared Leto had to act like like a fucking insane person off set, like he had to embody this character in order to reach that level. Whereas Matt Smith, like, it didn't. He just does it. Like that's how you act. And that takes years of training and practice, and obviously, but it's so interesting to see the two get there, but in such different ways and in like detrimental ways.
Oh yeah, I mean, I heard Samuel Jackson talking at one point where he's commenting on Jared Leto and how he chose to do acting, and he's like, yeah, you don't need like method acting is bad. He was talking to. It was him that was talking, and then in another separate interview, it was Robert Pattinson that were talking, and they both say the same general idea where it's like the point of acting is not to be this person. It's to take a glimpse into what other people's trifles are so that people can relate with them. So effectively becoming this person outside of set and using method acting and like one stalling set because he, from what I heard, was using the canes all around to walk around set and was like holding up like shooting times because he was refusing to walk with his regular legs.
And so that's if to explain method acting, that is when you fully embody the character, and outside of shooting, outside of the actual film, you have taken on that persona. And in order to better understand that character, in order to better portray that character, which is one of, in my opinion, and a lot agree, is like the lowest form of acting, in that it's the easiest to do, and it's not really, because again, like you're saying, like acting is to find a character that you relate with personally and you can find yourself in, and then bring that character further to life through your own experiences, not to fully take on that persona and you become a different person to fit that character. You bring yourself into that character doesn't become you.
And Jared Leto's pretty notorious for this. He did the same thing on Suicide Squad, but like because he was playing the Joker, he was just being an absolute ass to everyone and like sending dead animals. That's like the story. And it's if anyone ever did that on my production, I'd be like, I don't care how far into production we are. Gone. I'll use what we have of you, and if I need more, I'll find someone else and make them look like you. And that's just the way it is, because anyone purposefully being an ass for their sake of art, stupid. I hate it.
Yeah. It's just interesting to compare the two and see just what acting truly is compared to like someone who's trying to.
Someone who does it for their self-gratification instead of the creation of the story.
And it's interesting, we had it, I know we're going to finish quickly, but me and Victoria were having a debate about why people method act. Is it a way of like assholes, like giving them an excuse to act like assholes? Or is it just because they don't know any better and they weren't taught better on how to act?
It could be either or.
Yeah.
Could be either or.
It's just interesting. There you go. Chew on that.
Chew it.
To fix the movie, said, focus on, take the love interest out, focus on the main like friendship and get us invested in that. Better CGI, man. And I know that comes down to budget, and I know that comes down to getting the right people, and that's hard. But man, if you're gonna compete in this day and age, you have to really try and get up there. Especially Sony. I mean, Sony's not like a small company.
Yeah, Sony's one of the leading people in digital media.
You could do it. Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Yeah. Just in summation, have passion for your project.
That's our message at the end of every fucking episode.
But this one specifically,
have passion.
Just be there for the story. Be there for the art. Be there for what you're creating. And your piece will reflect that. But come into the piece with wanting money, with wanting like certain things, with wanting to make yourself feel better. You're never going to feel better about your art. You're just going to feel more like an asshole at the end of it, and everyone will probably see you that way. So yeah. Do we want to end this on a positive note?
Are we going to make recommendations?
Are we going to make recommendations?
Did we do it in the last one?
I don't remember. Did we do a genre-themed one last time? What did we do last time?
I don't know. Your facial hair is bothering me so much.
What about it?
You got one long mustache hair that's like falling into your mouth. And then you have one white one on your chin that stands out amongst the rest of them.
Yeah, let me go and pluck specific hairs just for Randi.
No, I'm sorry. I had to say it at this point. I don't remember what we did for the last one. I think we just told them don't watch those movies. But I think you should watch Morbius so I can have someone to talk to about it.
Yes, talk to Randi about it.
Please.
Thank you so much for joining us on this intellectual journey, and we will catch you guys in the next one.
Bye. Please cut your mustache.
No. Media for the Intellectually Impoverished is a Medialite production, edited by Trey Taylor Smith.
And produced by Miranda Randy Zaves.
Follow us on social media at NFTII Podcast.
Or email us at mftiipodcast@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening.